Welcome to the Green Wisdom Health Podcast with Dr. Stephen and Janet Lewis, where you will learn about natural solutions to common ailments. And now, here are your hosts, Dr. Stephen and Janet Lewis.
Hello, and welcome to this week's show. I'm Janet Lewis.
And I'm Dr. Lewis.
And we are Green Wisdom Health, home of the low-cost lab work, here to bring you an informative show about gut health today. Solving the mystery of the gut. And I guess there has been so many people having different problems like gas, bloating, and belching. And Dr. Lewis is going to help us solve where it's all coming from and what to do about it and all the different processes that happen there.
Yeah, I'd like to apologize in advance because I've been told I go down too many rabbit trails or jump in rabbit holes, and that is very, very true, and I don't guess that's ever going to change. But my brother came into our office today and was talking to Janet, and Janet says, "Oh my God, it runs in the family. You just had 19 conversations on 17 different subjects." So yes, Jonathan, that's true. And for Dr. Amanda, yep, I don't think I'll ever get any better. So Janet can keep me kind of reeled in most of the time.
Which he's another doctor, so that would just go to show you they got brains in the family and a lot of rambling thoughts.
Yeah, well, I don't know why that is, but you know, the hardest part of these shows is actually naming it, and you know, the gut, the unsolved mystery, or oh yeah, we've solved the mystery. And the other problem I have is when I take notes for these shows, I usually have 4 to 5 times more information than what we really actually get around to. So, forgive me. Maybe that's why I have rambling thoughts, because this is the only time I talk fast. And there are a lot of things. I hope I say something that resonates with you and something that can help you find better health, or for God's sake, share this. I am so pleased when people do share it and people drop by. I know I mentioned before Carl and Leslie stopping by, and that was awesome to meet them. And then yesterday I had a friend that I grew up with stop by from Midland, and she's always fun. And I would like to say her medical doctor in Midland has her own massive amount of nutritional products, and she brought in a bag of them. And I said, holy cow, this is the best regimen I've ever seen from an MD. But there's more MDs and DOs and chiropractors and naturopaths that's getting into functional medicine. So my advice to everybody, find somebody you like, somebody you trust, someone you feel good about in your discerning spirit, in your heart, in your intuition, or your gut feeling, because your gut will not lie if you'll listen to it. Now, one of the major reasons that we have gut problems is GMO foods, genetically modified organisms. That's anything with corn, soy, and even beets are genetically modified. Beet sugars and a lot of nutrients are. But they're heavily contaminated with Roundup or glyphosate. And that alone, amongst there's a lot of other things, but that causes leaky gut and then can create autoimmune diseases, which is kind of the mechanism for most diseases. And have you noticed that autoimmune diseases are getting more rampant? You're hearing about more and more people that are getting sicker and sicker decades before they did back when we were kids. So GMO foods, and you can't really avoid them in America until you start writing your politicians, because the foods are much cleaner in Europe. And we didn't spend a lot of time there, but we've been to Europe, and we spent a little bit of time in China. Even though China was incredibly polluted with air pollution, their food was obviously cleaner. So GMO foods have the ability to create leaky gut syndrome and autoimmune disorders, but also allergies. There's more and more people that are coming up with weird allergies. And in the very near future, folks, we have just figured out and found a good lab that's going to be able to test for allergies and antigens and things like that, and do an intestinal permeability test. So that's coming up within about a month or two. Just have to get an IT guy on it. So these GMO foods and leaky gut, this is not speculation, and this is not opinion. There's a study, Glyphosate Pathways to Modern Diseases, Celiac Sprue and Gluten Intolerance, and that's from interdisciplinary toxicology. Then there's leaky gut and autoimmune diseases. That's from allergy and immunology, and it goes on and on and on, the references. One of them that I thought was pretty interesting, glyphosate suppression of cytochrome P450 enzymes and amino acid biosynthesis of the gut microbiota. Oh my God, cytochrome P450, we could have several podcasts just on that, but it's a detoxification pathway, and it's very important to get that up and running so that you can detox a lot of this yucky stuff that's in our environment. Now, yucky stuff is a very technical term, so forgive me for that. I don't know where to go from here, but I'm going to just start and try not to go down too many rabbit trails, but I think that's inevitable. The microorganisms in your GI tract actually number about 10 times more than you have cells in your body. And some scientists are calling it a total organ system in and of itself. And it's a really complex thing, but you don't have to understand it in order to get good results from that. It's yeast, fungus, viruses, bacteria, and even the bad bacteria that we know about can actually play roles in preventing other diseases. So the interaction and the relationships are extremely, very, very complicated. So you have to wonder what's going on that we all are getting more and more, and why. It's because we started spraying Roundup or glyphosate very heavily back in the 1970s. So that's the thing. Hey, raise Cain with your politicians, because sooner or later, public opinion can sway the hundreds of thousands of dollars that are contributed to their PAC, money. And if you get the good bacteria and get enough of them, probiotics with prebiotics, you can actually increase your body's immune system, which, according to most people, is about 80% of your immune system originates in your GI tract. And that can counteract inflammation, and I'm going to present some evidence today that will, link that to diseases, even cancer, and microbiota and its relationship to losing weight. But it can also, to a pretty large degree, make your mood and your mental health much, much better. You've heard me talk several times about different types of lactobacillus, and different types of bifidobacterium can actually reduce stress in your body. Well, why would you not throw that stuff in there? It's very important. Once you get about, and this is from reading a lot of research and books, but once you get about 70% of the microbiome in your GI tract correct, then you just automatically start losing weight. I think when you don't lose weight or don't get rid of that autoimmune disease, or maybe not get rid of it, but normalize it, I think it's because you didn't really stick with it long enough. We've become an impatient nation, and I'm right there with you. We want everything instantly, and it doesn't really happen that way. One of I think the best ways to start to get well, of course, Janet and I push the really good supplements and some of the more really specialized supplements, but I think you should reevaluate your emotional state. You need to live in love and warmth. People that are in appreciation and gratitude always do many times better than people that live in fear and anxiety, although bad microbiomes or bad bacteria in your gut can create the very anxiety that we're trying to overcome. But I think it's best to break that cycle, not just nutritionally, but in a mental way and a spiritual way. I think you should find something to get very passionate and excited about, something to look forward to, and that in and of itself will increase curiosity. Curiosity is always a very strong emotion, And don't believe that curiosity killed the cat, although sometimes it might. You should have confidence. And one of the things I think that's wrong with society today is that we don't have any flexibility or compassion about people's differences. You know, one of the worst things we've ever done in America is started to focus on what's different. And we used to focus on what was the same. And once we start looking at other human beings and looking at what's the same, and then we'll be comfortable even and just ignore the differences, because that's one of the exciting things, that we all are different. And be cheerful. And if you feel bad, go do something good for somebody else. And that in and of itself can help your microbiome or the probiotics in your GI tract, because even emotional stress can cause all sorts of problems too. So the opposite of that is live in peace, live in harmony, live with love and warmth and appreciation. There's so many different research articles. I'm going to read a few of them, I think, or read from a few of them. But one of the other things I've not really talked about is allergies and asthma. You know, there have been people that do enough of the microbiomes that their asthma and allergies get much, much better. If you get a large enough percentage of those in your GI tract, they actually can produce vitamins and help you absorb minerals, and are a major, major eliminator of toxins. People say, well, I want to detox. Your own detox. You're taking probiotics and prebiotics. Well, that's not what I saw on TV. I said, well, you're taking good B vitamins and you're opening up the methylation pathways. That's going to be a detox in and of itself. Oh, you're on calcium D-glucarate. We sell a ton of that, and that opens up glucuronidation pathway, which is usually closed when you get cancer. Methylation and glucuronidation. It's a liver thing. You don't have to understand it. All you have to do is listen to your gut and find somebody you love and trust and let them take care of it. You know, I don't tell my dentist how to take care of my teeth. I just tell her, please just do whatever that you would do on your own husband. And she takes really good care of my teeth. I don't understand it. I don't even care, because I go with, trust. Inflammation is always, always part of the equation. And that can control the growth of the good bacteria. And there's some pretty serious science going on about DNA sequencing, and that's why I'm really excited about these tests. It'll be here within a month or two to check all of this, the intestinal permeability and the antigens, to test the 88 most common foods that cause problems, and will give us a good look into the immunoglobulins. And I'm going to talk a little bit about immunoglobulins. I'm going down another rabbit hole, but we're getting some incredible success with people that have the different bowel diseases. And these things do not treat disease. I don't treat disease. We throw it in and ask the body to function at a higher level. But these immunoglobulins, we have two different types. One of them you can't see on the website unless you are an established patient. The other one you can see is called SBI Protect, and that's a bovine-derived immunoglobulin. So what it does, it will bind toxins and bind microbes, and they'll attach to it and eliminate them before they can even stress the immune system, because these immunoglobulins will take these big junctions, i.e. leaky gut, and close down those junctions so all these bad things can't get through your intestinal wall. So it increases the intestinal permeability, and it normalizes it. And so it actually creates a barrier that maintains the gut and protects the gut. By getting rid of these microbes, by getting rid of the toxins, and the barrier, protects you from a lot of these GMOs that I was talking about that's full of glyphosate or Roundup. it balances the inflammation. Now, inflammation, we all know that's part of any disease process. But inflammation in and of itself is not a bad thing. It's just when your body cannot handle excessive inflammation that gets to be a problem. So healthy gut barrier, that's very, very important. And then we optimize the nutrients because they're better absorbed, and that helps with the building blocks for the cells of the immune system to produce more. So SBI Protect is really, really good. And we do sell a lot of it, but folks, when you buy the SBI Protect, you really and truly need to buy probiotics. One of the big ones that we love is the 100B, and it says 100 billion CFUs. But now this particular company, when they assay this stuff, their minimum is 160 billion. And they say it many, many times assays more than that, but if it's below 160, they don't put it in capsules and sell it. And on the 20 billion, their minimum is 40, but they say it usually assays closer to 60 or 62. So sometimes you're getting many times, most of the time you're getting 2 times, and sometimes you're getting actually 3 times more probiotics than what you're paying for if it's from a good company. Now, I've heard a special investigator for the FDA talk about probiotics. He said a third of them aren't even live if they're really probiotics. So you kind of have to be careful what you have. So the probiotics with the SBI Protect is, I think, a very incredible thing. They work together. Sometimes 1 + 1 = 2 or 3. That's a synergistic effect. And the thing that Janet and I do for our GI issues, and we both have GI issues, I do something called Physician's Elemental Diet. And what it is, they call it an elemental powder for GI dysfunction. And what happens is it has free-form amino acids, partially hydrolyzed carbohydrate, but very readily absorbed medium-chain triglyceride. You've heard of that, MCT oil. And that aids the absorption from the lumen of the GI tract. Well, you need that because in ulcerative colitis, Crohn's, celiac, IBS, you need all the help in absorbing that you can get. I have seen some people that felt better after drinking it 1 or 2 times. Now, when I do it, I throw in massive, massive amounts of probiotics and the SBI Protect. Of course, I do a lot of the fiber too. And, I said something, I think, the other day about the OptiFiber, and I know you can't see that if you're not one of the bona fide patients. It's not on the website until you've been upgraded. And I really, really like that stuff because it'll kind of swell up and kind of satiate you, and you have a tendency to eat less and lose weight. We'll talk about the probiotics helping you lose weight too.
I can't wait for you to get that line in. Dr. Lewis is going to make his own line of probiotic for weight loss. We're all going to be standing at the door waiting to get it.
I think that song's been written.
We are working on one, though, to come up with a strain in it that helps with weight loss.
I know they exist, and we're looking at different lines to find out which ones are the best ones. And they all work, but there's some that seem to work more efficiently than others.
I think it's interesting that probiotics can actually help control asthma and reduce your risk of allergies.
Well, and allergies come from the GI tract. And I just talked to a guy this morning, and he understands animal health. He said, oh, yeah, you just get the fluid out of the GI tract from this healthy goat and put it in the goat that's got problems, and he does it with horses and cows. And I said, yeah, that's called a fecal transplant in human terms. And he says all of a sudden they're snorting and snotting and bloating goes away. Well, it also works. They're doing it from a healthy person into diabetics or people that are obese and doing a fecal transplant from somebody that's thin and not diabetic and getting some really good results.
That was one of the questions we had too today. Was it was actually from a customer that comes in the store. He had a child that was interested. He needed probiotics for his child, and you might tell that story of what he was needing and what you wound up giving him for a kid.
Well, it turned out it's both of his kids, and both his kids had different problems. One is very young and has psoriasis, amongst other things. And then he was talking about his 6-year-old son that had horrible constipation and allergies, and said, can this stuff be mixed in milk? I said, well, the first thing you should do is get away from milk. I've got that note here somewhere about cow's milk increases intestinal permeability. I don't know where it is. Again, I've got notes that I could do 5 or 10 of these things, and I kind of get lost in the shuffle. That's why I have so many rabbit trails to go down. But cow's milk is not a good thing. If you have asthma, allergies, snorting and snotting, you need to get rid of it. So what I suggested, just because they're kids and they're not going to swallow pills, I put them on one of our probiotics that are loose, which is Probiotics Synergy. Sometimes at night I'll brush my teeth, getting ready to go to bed, and I'll just...
He brushes his teeth every night, and that didn't come out right. Yeah,
I was down another rabbit trail, sorry. But after I brush my teeth, then I'll put a spoonful of that in my mouth. And, it has a tendency, there are certain bacteria that actually eat the plaque away from your teeth. And the lady at my dentist office that does the hygienist, she says, I can't believe you don't plaque more than you do. I said, well, I use bacteria to take those off. And she's like, ew. Well, one of the worst things you can do is the antibacterial soap. So,
well, there's actually a toothpaste that has that probiotic in it that we carry.
Yeah, we use that too. Janet takes care of us in a big way. But it was SBI Protect and one of the powdered probiotics. Of course, there's always other things. He wanted some of those super newts, but we had run out, and they're actually a really, really good kids' vitamins that we have run out of, and it's been back ordered.
Oh, no, they're coming in again tomorrow. Well, back in. By the time this will be aired, we'll have them again.
Yeah, well, they'll run out because I could have sold them all today, because I tell people they're grandkid approved, and we hand out samples, and they're like, holy cow, these taste good. Well, they're actually better for you. But there's just, for example, it's so complicated. We hear E. coli is terrible, and what E. coli got on this vegetable, and it's making people sick and killing them. But there is actually some strains of E. coli that are protective. So you have to understand that it's really hard to understand. Oh, there's my note. Prolonged cow's milk challenge increases permeability, which is counteracted by Lactobacillus casei. And that's from Journal of Gastroenterology. And it talks about bugs in the gut breaking barriers to understanding.
So translate that to English, please, what that means.
Find somebody you love and trust, like Janet and me, and we'll take care of you.
Don't drink cow's milk. Is that what you're saying?
Not unless it's in Bluebell. And I'm sorry. Had Jerry give me a email the other day. He says, hey, I just found a ice cream that has activated charcoal in it, so Doc can eat all the ice cream he wants. Well, I don't eat ice cream all the time because I'll start snorting and snotting if I do too much of that. So, and Janet says, you tell people all these things. I'm sorry, folks. I cannot live my life inside the circle. I step outside the circle a lot. And Janet likes that. That's why she was attracted to me last night. She found her brand new schnauzer up on the couch drinking out of my drink, which had whiskey in it. And she got it stuck in her mustache just like me because she's a schnauzer. So Janet likes that. People that live outside the circle. I don't do a lot of whiskey and I don't do a lot of ice cream, but I do some of it.
And you wonder why people think I eat healthier. That could be why.
Yeah, she's counteracting what I do.
I try.
Yeah, and so really what we had for supper last night was a half of an avocado and a handful of walnuts, and that's the truth. So some of the cancer therapies that they work better if you have appropriate gut microbes. And there are more and more cancer doctors that are understanding this. And I'm very pleased with the cooperation I get from the osteopaths and medical doctors that say, well, I don't know what Dr. Lewis does, but go down and do whatever he does. And then they do the medical treatment.
Speaking of that, is any kind of lab beneficial for you to see what's going on with gut health? Is there a lab panel that you would recommend?
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing the comprehensive, and I really like the hormones added with it because these GMOs, the glyphosate and the plastics and the fire retardants, geez, there's fire retardants in some of the things people drink, for goodness sake. They act like estrogens. So I think it's very important on a man or a woman to know what your hormonal levels are and the ratios of it.
And what are you seeing on a lab panel to look at gut health to determine which way to go instead of just guessing at what they might need?
Well, the amount of chloride, whether you can make enough hydrochloric acid, you've got your globulin, you've got your alkaline phosphatase. If it's starting to go low, very simply put, that means you don't have enough zinc and you have an immune system challenge. But globulin going low or high can be gastrointestinal inflammation and permeability, and needing more hydrochloric acid and digestive enzymes, and your level of protein. If it goes below a certain level, it's like, well, you're not digesting your protein. So I had a guy yesterday, he said, okay, I'll do more protein. I said, I didn't say you weren't getting enough. I said you weren't digesting it. And he told me what he was taking. He says, what do you think? I said, well, it's obvious it's not working. I'd throw it in the parking lot. And I looked at his wife, who was obviously more concerned, as any good spouse is more concerned about their significant other, or at least it is with me. I said, I'd just as soon you throw the money in the parking lot. But some of the stuff he was taking was like, you're spending a lot of money and you're not getting any good results from it whatsoever. So. God, I'm gonna run out of town. There's no doubt about it. But run out of time, run out of town. It's crazy like that. So this physician's elemental diet, the probiotics and the SBI Protect, that's what I would do. And there is massive amount of research that says people that do it hard and heavy can get results in as little as 2 to 4 weeks. And if you do half of the physician's elemental diet and just do half of that usually within 12 months or so, the patients will get reclassified in regards to their disease status. And usually that's after 4 weeks, but it can be as much as 12 months. So yeah, get the lab panel. Call us at Green Wisdom Health. Go online, greenwisdomhealth.com. If you want to email me, just email Janet at greenwisdomhealth.com. People, they email Janet and say, would you tell Dr. Lewis? Well, it's coming to me too. So,
well, fill out the health survey. That's what we always recommend because, if we don't know what's going on with you, there's no way for us to figure out the fastest, easiest way to help you. And when you go on our website, there is a health survey there. And we want to make sure that we're not interfering with medications because, believe it or not, sometimes people are on medications that are actually causing some of the problems that they're having. So for us to be able to see those things and then find out what your desire is with your health really helps us determine what lab panel that you may or may not need. And we have a different goal for you in mind than what you have. And many times people will ask us, hey, well, which product do you think is the most important for me? And I'm like, well, which problem do you have that you want worked on? Because what we see and what you see, I'm thinking all of them are important, but some people only have finances for the top, the worst one. So filling out the health survey helps us determine where to go with it so that, you're getting what you're wanting out of the deal.
And then live with positive expectations. Once you've found somebody that you love and trust, whether it's Janet, me, or someone else, get with the program and stick with it. Like I told my friend yesterday, I said, your medical doctor in Midland has you really, really juiced up on some good stuff. Of course, my friend's doing her lab here with me, but I said, you need to go tell your medical doctor she's doing an absolutely incredible job, and buy her chocolates and tell her thank you, because she's really kicking you into a new level of being healthy. So give them credit.
If all medical doctors did what that one did, this whole nation would be much healthier, because that one got it. It was like, you can mix medicine and natural products together, and having a doctor that knows how to do that is beyond valuable.
But then on the other hand, we're getting a lot of medical physicians, nurse practitioners, and PAs also that are just sharing the treatment with us, because they're busy doing what they do, and they have a very important job too. So you can share this and get well from both perspectives.
And we thank you for listening to our show this week. And you guys, if you have questions or topics that you'd like us to discuss, please let us know. And you can always ask to be added to the closed Facebook group of Shootin' Straight with Dr. Lewis on Facebook, and that's Shootin' without a G. And he'll be happy to add you, and you can ask him questions there, and he leaves many comments. You guys have a blessed week, and we'll see you here next time on the Green Wisdom Health Show.
Once again, our show has come to an end, but your hope in your health is only beginning. If you or a loved one are in need of a different outcome and are waiting for a brighter future, take the first step and go to our website and fill out the health survey. Please don't keep us a secret. If you know someone that could benefit from this podcast, please share this show with your friends and family. You're only one step away from a life worth living.